Gerry Ryan, the Ryan Line on 2FM, Ireland's #1.
Rio, good morning to you.
Oh, good morning, Gerry. How are you?
I'm very...
Take my head out of the washing machine.
Take your head out of the washing machine.
Putting on a wash while I was waiting on you to finish the newspapers there. How are you?
I'm very good, and how are you?
I'm top of the form.
Top of the form. Good. You were listening to Patricia yesterday. Patricia came on, I think she was one of the first callers, and she was complaining about old people, about elderly people, in relation to medical cards and the flu jabs and things like that, and getting things for free. And she really was quite caustic and quite cutting. She said they didn't deserve any of these things, that they were basically a pain in the neck, and that she wouldn't be beyond pushing one of them over a cliff.
Oh, dear, dear, dear. Poor woman.
You were very upset.
Well, no, I wasn't upset.
Were you not? No.
And I felt sorry for her attitude, because one of these days, if she manages to live to a ripe old age, she will be an old age person herself.
Now, how old are you?
I'm 69. I will be 70 on the 24th of May next year.
70 years young.
Yes, 70 years young.
And were you very... I mean, what... Yesterday, all right, to me it sounded like there was a little bit of baggage in what Patricia was saying. Sounded like she might have had a little bit of a spat with somebody who was of an elderly, description or disposition. But, you do get... I think she wasn't unrepresentative of the opinions of some in our community, people who feel that elderly people are too grumpy, they get in the way, they're uncompromising, they get too much, society is too good for them, they're always looking for something.
Well, all I can say is God love people who would think like that. They should really look at the bigger picture and at the inner world.
The bigger picture in the inner world, Mrs.
Yes, look, they only see maybe people who are in their, we say, 85 to 90, going around, and God love them. Some of them may be ill, and they may need help. I do help some of them myself. We have an old age complex quite near us here.
Good for you.
But as I said, I've been fostering children for, I'd say, nearly 47 years now.
Do you still foster children?
Yes, and I'm quite capable of looking after them. I haven't time to think about getting old. I would never consider myself an old person. I probably will if God spares me and I live to be into my 80s. But I'm up at 6:30 in the mornings. I have an 18, well, he'll be 18 in January. He's doing his leaving cert. I have a 14-year-old boy who will be doing his junior cert. I have twin girls who got wonderful, they're 15 and a half, wonderful results in their junior certs. They got nearly straight A's, and one of them got the highest marks in maths and science in our area here over all the other schools. And I have a little 7-year-old that comes in and out.
Yeah.
Her mammy has her life back together again, and she goes back home, but she comes in here for
do you
her
know
dinner.
what? I'm impressed, to put it mildly.
Now, we also...
How many is that in the house now?
Well, living here,
yeah.
4 teenagers, my husband who is 74, and myself.
4 teenagers, your husband who's 74, you're nearly 70.
Yes.
4 teenagers and one little one who comes in now and then and who you've helped get back on the road to,
yes,
to normality with her mum.
She's a beautiful...
Well, do you know what? Take a bow. You're great.
She's actually the child of a former foster child that I had. And I had, on Monday, while we were in the middle of cooking and all, there was a knock at the door, and a former child of mine, Christy, and his wife from England and his 2 little boys were over in Ireland, and they came to see us. And it's just that life just goes on. We just stop.
Do you think, Rio, that's what keeps you young?
Yes, it does.
The responsibility of you can't be fluting around with worrying about things or getting emotional or upset about stuff or worrying about where you're going to be tomorrow. You've got today to live, and that's it.
Today to live, and you live it to the full.
Yeah.
Today, now, this morning, Thomas, one of the lads, it was a bit iffy this morning, and I said, wash yourself before you go into school. And no, I don't feel like washing myself. Bring your coat, it's going to rain today. No, I don't care if I get wet. I said, it's grand. See you later.
Good luck. Bye.
Bye, Richard.
Yeah.
And that's the way it goes. And now there's grinds in the evenings, there's swimming lessons, there's adventure club, there's aerobics. You I'm a glorified taxi person.
Oh, yeah, well, I know that feeling.
And being teenagers, of course, you have to be careful where they go. And I have always been sort of wrapped on the knuckles because I have never allowed children to sort of play on the road, play on the street. I play in the garden, or we get into the car and we go to a park. And
how do you manage that with teenagers, though? I mean,
well, teenagers, yeah,
they just tell you to get stuffed.
That way,
yeah,
and come up now. The little one, the 7-year-old, she's can I have my bike to go out on the bike for a little while.
I want to go out the side.
She just goes outside, and I keep an eye on her on the bike, like you know. But if you keep them occupied all the time,
yeah.
And it's sometimes it's wearing. You don't feel like going. Sometimes I get to the park and I say, God.
Well, there'll be no pushing you over a cliff in a wheelchair, will there?
I wouldn't like to be the one who would try.
No.
No, I wouldn't like to be the one.
I'd say you'd bounce back quick enough.
I would. I'm a third down black belt, and
What?
I don't do much of it now, but I would. It would always stand to me if I needed it, like, you know. I wouldn't like to be the one who would try to push me in a wheelchair otherwise.
Oh, God, fair play to you. Do you know what? You've brightened up my morning already.
It's
a tonic to talk to you.
To spend a day with me.
Yeah.
And see which of us get tired first.
Oh, I've no doubt I'd be on the couch well before you. Listen, good morning to you. I'm sure you're very busy, and thank you for reminding us about what real life is all about.
That's what real life is.
Good morning.
I'm not the only one who does.
Oh, no, I'm sure you're not. Good morning.
Should look out and be very nice to the people who are getting old, because one day, please God, she will be old herself.
Now, in the meantime, I think it's time for a little music. Let's have a look. Oh, yes. Podge and Raj have just sent us in this timely seasonal warning coming up to Halloween. Maria, how are you?
Gerry, how are you?
Did you like that song?
I'm laughing at you. Oh, dear God.
Oh, I love those two bachelors. Do you know that?
You do you?
I do.
They're very funny.
Oh, God bless us. Now, this morning, I read out something.
There's not going to be no regrets, or regrets, rather.
Regrets, I've had a few. I read out something this morning, a little piece that we found in one of the papers. Britain's pensioners, and who's to say that the Irish aren't any different, say that top of their list of regrets would have been that they didn't have more sex, they'd love to have travelled more, they'd like to have changed jobs more, they'd like to have told a difficult boss to get stuffed, and many of them would like to have married somebody else. And I wondered, you know, for those listening, whether you were in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s or 70s, I said, have you regrets? And if so, let's hear them. Now, you're in your 70s, so you're perfectly placed to say whether anything that you'd like to have done that you just didn't.
10, that's it, Gerry.
10. What a great time to arrive at.
Isn't it? And I'll tell you, I've no regrets.
No regrets.
And that's not exactly what you're looking for now, is it?
No, but I'm interested, because it must be wonderful to have arrived to this point in your life. No regrets. And do you know what? I deeply suspect that maybe life has had its ups and downs for you.
Tough. I buried a young son, 19. I buried a young husband. My heart was broken.
Oh, dear.
And
how old was your husband when you buried him?
He was only 44.
44. God, that's very young. So you've been without... What was his name?
His name was John.
So you've been without John for half your life, nearly.
Exactly, Gerry, exactly. Yeah.
And you buried your son at 19.
19.
And what happened to him, Maria?
He was killed on the road, Gerry.
Oh, God. When was that?
That, again, is 4 years after him. So that was,
So you lost them both.
And I was broken-hearted.
How did you survive that?
Well, it wasn't easy. But you know the way I looked at it? In my grief, I looked out and I realised that there are so many people out there going through what I am.
Yeah.
I'm not on my own. And that was the attitude I had to it.
And had you anybody to talk to? Had you other children?
I had two others. Two others.
And
I'm sure they were as heartbroken as I was.
Oh, God.
Do you know what I mean? They were young, and sure, God, I remember going to see my dead son, and I remember my daughter was with me, and I looked around, and there were other people in the mortuary. And I put my arms around her because I felt I had to console her.
Yeah.
And I said to her, we're not the only ones. And I just hugged her and hugged her.
And how old was she?
She was 20.
Oh, God.
And so, I think, Gerry...
But how do you get over it?
You don't really. That is the truth.
You don't really get over it.
You never do. And but you learn to carry that, because to me, I am carrying them in my heart. So they are never away from me.
So, what was your son's name?
John, too.
John. So young John, he's, forever young now, 19. Yeah. And when you think about John, what do you feel?
I just love him.
And have you still got a strong sense of him?
I have, very much. Very much. And, you know, in my heart, I would often say to him, do you realise how much I loved you? Oh. Do you realise how much I really loved you? And a strange thing came out of that. I had a relative of mine who actually went to a psychic. And he told me that the psychic asked him, did he know a John? And he didn't want to be given information and just said no. And this came up again. And he said, no, don't know any John. So it came up a third time. And she said, are you sure you don't know a John? I have a young man here, she said, who is very insistent. So at that stage he admitted he knew a John. Well, he said, he wants you to tell his mum that he knows she's very ill, and I was extremely ill at the time, Gerry, and that she's the only one who truly loved him. And I thought that was beautiful, because it was the question in my heart that I hadn't shared with anyone.
Did he know that you loved him?
That he
and
knew
loved him so
I was
much.
The only one who truly loved him. And I thought that was lovely. And
all these years later, do you have a sense of older John, your husband, today?
Oh, gosh, of course. They never leave you, Gerry. But you learn to accept.
And despite those two awful losses, for we should never bury a child and never lose a spouse so early in life, you say that you look back on your life, and I have no regrets, you say.
Yeah. I think there's a difference between regrets and maybe liking or wanting something or
longing
wishing maybe
for
it never happened. I didn't even wish it never happened. I had this total acceptance, and through that I coped. What could you do? What can one do?
Well, what happens to a lot of us is that we just go to pieces, that we can't cope. We're so overwhelmed by grief that we just fall apart. You didn't.
I think in that sense, shock can be a friend. Yeah. Because shock numbs you to a certain extent and for long enough.
And maybe that's why it's there.
I believe that. I do. I think shock has its job to do.
So how long did it take for you to pick up the pieces and put your life back together again?
I'd say it took me years, Gerry.
Years, of course it did.
I'd say it took me years. And I will say the loss of the son in particular, because the child's just out of your heart, isn't he? But I have great faith, Gerry.
For those who are listening this morning who may be fed up with all the road traffic discussions we've heard, and there's been the deaths of so many young people have been so much to the forefront of media, and broadcasting over the last week or two, and some people may be getting a bit fed up with it. But we need to be reminded of what it's like, as you described, to stand in a mortuary and to look down at the lifeless body of your 19-year-old son.
Gerry, it's the saddest thing in the world.
What do you think when you look at that face with no life left in that body? What did you think?
Yeah. I don't think I could think. I don't think I was capable of actually thinking. I do remember when he was being buried, that when the coffin was actually going down into the ground, I seemed to die. I couldn't cry. I couldn't feel sad. It was as if I was gone down there with him. And I couldn't understand it. I didn't know what was happening to me. And I couldn't understand why I didn't even feel sad when I knew I was heartbroken.
You'd no heart left to break.
This was it, Gerry. And it took me years to realise that that was part of shock. And so I went through those years and I went inside. When I have a crisis, I go inside. And there I try to find reason and answers. And I have never, ever said, why me? Never. Because I always knew there were so many others. And
so if shock carried you through the early crisis, what helped you reconcile yourself enough with the world to get on with your life, to the extent that at 70 years of age you ring the Gerry Ryan show to say I had no regrets? I mean, are you religious? Did you have good friends? Did you go into counselling?
I'm
what did you do?
Without being churchy, Gerry.
Okay.
I have a very strong bond with God. And I know that He can, if you allow Him, He can get you through anything. And that's how He'll get you through it. Without the tragedy you have to have.
Yeah.
But He will get you through the terribleness of it so that you're left with your life.
And did you have counselling?
No.
No,
I had nothing. I had nothing.
Did you have friends that you could talk to?
Yes, but Gerry, I went to the stage where I couldn't really talk. It was too painful. Yeah. I was just, if you like, it was me and me dealing with this because no one else I felt could, because no one else was where I was. And how could anyone take you out of a place they didn't know about? So I had to do that for myself. I was very, very much aware of that. This was my cross. This was my life. And you know, there are things in life where you have no control over. You have no control over it. There are other things where you would have done differently. But it's still, if you embrace it, doesn't become a regret. You understand that. And I think that's what life is. And there's so many people, Gerry, I am not the only one.
Did you ever meet another fella?
I never was interested.
Never interested?
Never, ever, ever, no. He was my husband and this was my life, and I gave it to the 2 children I had left and to my home, and I adored my garden. Absolutely adored it.
Such simple things, Mrs. And they carried you through it.
That's what you...
Well, do you know what? It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Well,
thank you.
Thank you very much, Gerry.
Good morning. Cormac, good morning to you. How are you?
Yes, Gerry, how are you?
Very good. Now, I think you've been following the extraordinary story surrounding Rush Limbaugh, one of the most controversial broadcasters on the air at the moment, broadcasting in the United States. And on his radio programme, he said that Michael J. Fox, who we all believe, and I certainly do, to be the victim of Parkinson's disease, in a recent ad, Rush Limbaugh said, "Not at all, this guy is a complete fake. He's exaggerating the effects of the disease. He's moving all around and shaking. It's purely an act. This is really shameless of Michael J. Fox. Either he didn't take his medication or he's acting. This is the only time I've ever seen Michael J. Fox portray any of the symptoms of the disease that he allegedly has. He can barely control himself."
That's right, Gerry. I think it's totally wrong for him to say things like that, because, I mean, Michael J. Fox, if he's got Parkinson's disease, that's it. And Michael J. Fox is promoting the work of stem cells and things like that.
That's right. He's very much at the forefront of trying to persuade the Bush and the Republican administration of being a little bit more sort of positive in relation to stem cell research. They've got the same sort of attitude as the Irish government would have over there. But, I mean, who in the name of God would pretend to have Parkinson's disease? Can you even, in your wildest imaginings, give me one possible reason as to why you'd pretend to have it?
Well, I mean, I can't speak for Michael J. Fox, but I can speak for myself for about stem cells work. because I had an accident early in the year, and I'm paralysed from the chest down. And
what happened to you?
Well, I was a plastering contractor, and I just got up onto a roof to look at a bit of work, and I slipped and down a fell, and paralysed from a thing called C5 to C10.
My God.
And that's from your chest down.
And what's the prognosis, Cormac? What are they telling you can be done or not done for you?
Well, they reckon that there's work to be done with stem cells. That's the only cure for me, anyway, into my back, because it was so badly.
I've heard about this because there's no technology available apparently that can deal with that, in a medical way at the moment. But stem cells could rejoin those broken joints. Isn't that what they think, that stem cell research could lead to?
Well, that's right. They reckon that these stem cells can lead to rejoining the joints to work the muscles back up again.
Yeah.
And I know parts of America, and I don't know what parts of Ireland's government or whatever. What's their research? What's their feeling on it? Or people say it's immoral because they're going to...
Yeah, but you know the feeling of the Irish government, and this isn't a pan-European stance, but it's certainly what they believe in the United States and here in Ireland. They're not interested in stem cell research unless it comes from... I think it's the placenta embryo, isn't that what they're really... They're okay on that, but they're not interested in using...
Well, I can't understand why, Gerry, because, you take a look on my own point of view, probably on a selfish point of view, I'm more worried about myself, is that you take the drain that everybody needs stem cells. You take anybody that's in wheelchairs, anybody that's injured. If it can make people better, make people out of hospitals, would it not be more better than doing a lot of things like that and going and bending into stem cell work? That's my theory on it.
The argument seems to be that, if you use embryos, right, if you use human embryos, if you create human embryos to use for your stem cell research, that what you're in fact doing is creating life and then killing life or denying that life in order to carry out your scientific research. Now, it's a hugely controversial issue for a lot of people. There are others who have very clear thinking on it, who believe, no, this is not an implanted embryo, it is not life. So therefore, why shouldn't we use it to do some good for somebody like you, for instance? And I don't think we've had that debate properly, because to be quite frank, I don't think people really understand what the argument is.
Well, I think people should. They'll soon understand it, Gerry, if it lands at their own door.
I'll bet they would.
An accident can happen to anybody, Gerry. The likes of yourself, even. I was in hospital with injured people, just fell and that's paralysed from the neck down. You don't have to be doing daredevil stunts to be paralysed, And when it landed at their own door, they'd be interested to see. And going back to that broadcaster in America by Michael J. Fox, if I'd like to see if he had anybody to see the struggle and the paraplegics and people that have to go through in life. And it's not like life is only going to last. It's going to last another 35, 40, 50 years, hopefully, for me. I'm 37.
Without, being an apologist for Rush Limbaugh, I don't think he was really making a statement regarding stem cell research. What he was really saying was that he believes that Michael J. Fox is allowing his illness to be exploited. I don't believe that, and I don't get it. And I don't get where Rush Limbaugh is coming from on this either.
No, me either. You have an interesting point there. You're talking about people, life, and killing life. I was listening to your show a few weeks ago, and it was on about what do you call blood transfusions.
That's right. We were talking about Jehovah's Witnesses refusing blood transfusions, and in certain cases, people die as a result of sticking to that particular tenet of their faith.
That's right. Well, again, I can only speak for myself, Gerry. But in my case, if that was her choice, I don't want to be ignorant. I don't want to be rude here, but I would let them die. That's my choice. If she wants to do it, let her die. We have no choice. We would want to live.
Cormac, I'd say I presume you would do absolutely anything to get your mobility back. Absolutely anything.
Definitely, and I could nearly speak for a lot of everybody else. We would do.
What is your day now? What do you do today?
Well, I managed now to get up and try to get out, and I'm paralysed from the chest down. But I've been very lucky that I've got a van on the road and a get into it and try to move, but that's about it. And just drive about and keep busy. Because
what do you do though to keep yourself busy apart from driving about?
I'm lucky enough that I've still got a plastering firm. Some of my brothers looking after.
So you can supervise the work at least.
Well, I can supervise that, but I mean, Gerry, I used to get up at 6:15, 6:30 every morning for life, and up and out to work
and doing the plastering yourself.
Yeah, do plastering, do things, and suddenly you're at the only thing I can say to you, you were at the top of the hill. Life was going well, middling enough. Suddenly you're at the bottom of the hill, and now we have to start crawling to get back up that hill again.
God, health is wealth, isn't it? There's nothing can replace your health. Okay, listen, it's been a pleasure and a sobering experience talking to you. Thank you, Cormac. Good morning to you. Sean, good morning to you. Now, you were in a motorbike accident.
Yeah.
And what happened to you?
Well, what happened was I came around the corner, bend on a B road, and this man was crossing the white line, cutting the corner, and took the whole side out of me. Bled out in the ambulance, nearly died, nearly lost me on the operating table. So, but at the end of it all, I've had major surgery on the leg to try and get it working, and have no feeling from the knee down. Really have no nerve to lift the foot up either, and plus I paralysed right arm as well from the shoulder down, and in constant pain, 24/7.
God.
The phantom pain they call it, but there's nothing phantom about it.
Nothing phantom about it, says you, and you're feeling it.
Exactly. To be honest with you, it makes you physically sick during the day. You can't eat, and then you're on 16 tablets a day to try and get the pain down. Lucky enough, I got a phone call this week to go in and get the simulation box put in the spine, so hopefully that'll kill the pain.
What does that do?
It actually sends a pulse to the nerve on the spine to tell your brain that your arm is working. It cancels out the message to the brain that it's not working.
So that stops the pain?
Well, it works for 50% of the people. So
God, well, it's worth trying, isn't it?
Oh, I'll do anything, to be honest.
And have you been led to believe that stem cell research might lead to some sort of therapy that would alleviate your situation, or maybe even cure it?
No, I have read reports on it, and it has worked for some people, and for others it won't work. It's like pretty much, they don't know a whole lot about nerves, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's pretty much like cutting a cable with 200 copper wires in it, and you have to try and reattach them on. You just can't do it. So I have heard.
But there is stem cell therapy, is there? Stem cell generated therapy that is being applied to people like you.
There is, yeah.
And there is some evidence that it has been successful.
Yeah, there was. I was watching a program where there was this girl, I believe, in Portugal. She travelled from America to have it done by a doctor in Portugal. Yeah. And within 3 weeks, she was able to open and close her hand.
Wow.
Okay.
I presume that makes you sit up and take notice.
Well, it does, because I have a friend who's paralysed from the chest down from a rugby accident 9 years ago. And to be honest, I thought I knew by knowing him, I thought I knew what it'd be like to be in a wheelchair, but you don't until you end up in it. I'm still in a wheelchair.
So you're immobile, you can't move.
No, I can't get out of the house at all, and plus having only one arm, I can't wheel the chair. Oh. I'll just go in circles.
God almighty.
Yeah. But the pain's the worst.
What about an electric chair?
16 grand.
Is that what they cost?
I just don't have the money. Gone from €600 a week down to 165. The government, I have to be honest, the government are useless. I went for a premium medical certificate to claim back tax and stuff on a new car, and I was turned down 3 times because they reckon my right leg is my left leg is okay.
Yeah, but what could you do with your left leg?
Exactly, it's ridiculous.
Are they saying you could drive
Well, what they're saying is it's possible I will walk again because my right leg has some mobility to it. But they forget that I don't have a right arm to hold crutches. So I can't walk with a walking aid even if I wanted to.
How old are you, Sean?
I'm 31. It happened 3.5 years ago now.
And who do you live with?
I live with my wife. We just finished building our house a month before the accident. Had just moved in. No downstairs bathroom. Been washing that sink in the kitchen.
How does this affect your relationship?
To be honest, I'll be honest, we were strong anyway.
Yeah.
And it's even stronger now, if you know what I mean.
Well, thank God for that.
And she's been absolutely fantastic, and my mother has as well, bringing me to hospital appointments. Because you're up and down nearly twice
you hold on
month.
to that, son, because that'll get you through this.
Well, I'd be lost without the two of them now, to be honest.
Yeah, that'll get you through this.
But someday, hopefully, I'll get back on the bike.
Would you?
Oh, God, yeah.
Would you?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
God, yeah.
You'd get back on the bike?
Yeah.
Are you mad?
No. If you're a biker, you'll know what I'm talking about. But to make it happier for her, I think I'll get a trike.
I think you might be wise.
Yeah. I think so.
All right, well, thank you for humbling us this morning.
No problem.
Good morning. Well, here's one for the books. Harrison Ford. What age would you say Harry is, eh? Harrison Ford, 64 years of age. Got a good new movie out, hasn't he? Oh no, that's Kevin Costner, isn't it? The Guardian, which is actually excellent. Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford says that he's ready, willing, able and physically fit enough to play, guess who again? Indiana Jones. Yep. Apparently, according to a website, the movie provisionally titled Indiana Jones and the Ravages of Time, which would be kind of appropriate, I suppose. Mind you, Harrison looks reasonably well. This movie has been in production, or should I say delayed production, for about a decade. A lot of gossip about it, a lot of conspiracy theories. But apparently, I think it was the Rome Film Festival, Harrison Ford actually brought it up for the first time in public and said, yep, I'm up for it. And I think Sean Connery, who plays me dad, he's probably up for it as well. Mind you, Connery has said, he's 76, by the way. He has said, no, he hasn't received any overtures or offers as yet. Would it work? Could you have a 64-year-old Indiana Jones? I know that there's a lot of interesting sort of controversy still surrounding some of the makings of the various different Indiana Jones films. For instance, I think it was Steven Spielberg who put the one together, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, wasn't it, yeah? And this was the Nazi one. And he really regretted making that movie. You know, he really felt that it trivialized the role. The Last Crusade, that was it, The Last Crusade. My apologies. He really felt that The Last Crusade trivialized the role of the Nazis in the Second World War, in particular in relation to the Holocaust. He, of course, went on to make Schindler's List after that, I suppose, by way of balancing the books. So would he come back to make another Indiana Jones movie? Well, he's the man that invented it himself, and George Lucas. Yeah, I think it would work. Yeah, what do you think? Tell us now. Would it work? Do you think Indiana Jones could be 64 years of age? Has he enough hair? I think just about. He's pretty slim looking. Would you buy it? An older Indiana Jones? Jack, good morning.
Hi, Gerry.
How are you?
I'm good.
Now, I was giving you the news this morning that at the Rome Film Festival recently, Harrison Ford, who played, along with many other characters, Indiana Jones and all of that particular series of movies, at 64 years of age, says that he's ready, willing, able and physically fit enough to go back to make another Indiana Jones. It's Indiana Jones and the Ravages of Time is what it'll be known. He's also hoping that Sean Connery, the original Bond, and who played his dad in several of the other Indiana Jones stories, will come back and at 74 years of age play his father in what probably would be the last Indiana Jones film. Question we asked this morning was, is he the man to do it?
Yeah, I think he is, because there's no one else that could match his standard of just the way he plays it. He enrolls the character and he just focuses on it and he doesn't make any mistakes.
And what do you like about Indiana Jones? What do you like about his character?
Well, it's incredibly exciting, and I think it was very smartly directed, and it's just a brilliant film, the way it was all set up, and the way Steven Spielberg directed it, I just thought it was brilliant.
Which is your favourite one of the series?
I'd have to say The Temple of Doom.
Oh, yeah, I like The Temple of Doom. The Temple of Doom is superb. Have you been to see the Indiana Jones Spectacular in MGM Studios in Florida?
No, I actually haven't. I've seen it before, but I wasn't allowed on it because I was only 3.
Oh, well, that's a pity, isn't it? You better get back there soon before they replace it with something else.
Yeah, I know.
So you say absolutely nobody, despite the fact that he's 64 years of age, can do Indiana Jones but Harrison Ford himself?
No, not even Colin Farrell or anyone.
Nobody. Not even Colin Farrell, no.
No.
Actually, Colin Farrell wouldn't be bad at it, though. He could play his younger brother.
He could, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
He'd be good at that, wouldn't he?
Yeah, because I checked it up on the internet, the new film, and it looks outstanding.
Oh, have you seen the website for the new film?
Yeah, and it's got down a couple of pictures about actors that they might suggest to do it, and I read in one of it that Kevin Costner might be acting his brother and Natalie Portman might be his daughter.
I'm telling you, you're informed, Jack, and I thank you very much for giving us your opinion this morning. Okay?
Thank you, Gerry.
Take care of yourself.
I
Great
will.
to talk to you. Good morning.
Thank you.
Morning, Gerry. You were asking.
I did. I deserve it. I asked people to give us a shout. And what today pisses you off? I was feeling in an open house sort of frame of mind. So off you go. What pisses you off?
This really pisses me off. For the last 2 weeks, I get a bus in the evening, and there's this guy who sits at the bus stop, eats about 6 Kit Kats, throws the paper on the ground, every time, and the bin is I'd say about 3 foot away from him. He's about 16 stone, I'm about 10 stone, so I don't know whether to pick the paper up or to say something to him. I really annoyed me so much yesterday, I was even going to actually ring the litter wardens, because he's so clockwork. I missed the bus yesterday evening, and his papers were still there. The reason I know there were his papers, it's not a Kit Kat, it's a little Kit Kat.
It's one of the cheap Kit Kats.
Yeah, one of the cheap ones. But he's like just
it's a cat kit, is it?
Yeah, that's it. But he's so brazen about doing it, you know what I mean?
Well, why don't you pick the pieces of paper up and just drop them on his lap?
I said he's about 16 stone, Gerry.
Oh, he'd knock the head off you, would he?
I'd knock the head off, yeah. I'm only about 10 and a half stone,
All right, what bus is this? Going to where? And he's on it every day. Let's see if we can...
Every single day, right?
What number is it?
It's, can I give the location?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
6 o'clock, Tesco Marion Centre, going from the Marion Centre, City Centre. So it could be number 4745. Every day at 6 o'clock, he's about 16 stone, wears a hoodie.
Wears a hoodie, 16 stone, eating his Kit Kat, throwing the wrappers on the floor.
Stop
doing it!
It pisses me
Stop
off, really.
doing it! Stop doing it! Okay, one down.
We're ranting upstairs. I think what I like about this is about the morning stuff.
Yeah, it's pissed off Tuesday.
It's the routine. It's that every morning I meet that fucking driver, that bloody... So will I give you some
What
of the
about the Kit Kat guy, the 16 stone Kit guy who just throws the wrappers? Who's going to take him on today?
He's playing with fire.
He's playing with fire.
Because you know what happens when you've pissed off Tuesday?
Yeah.
Violent Wednesday.
Violent Wednesday
Revolution
comes directly.
kicks off.
Yeah.
Because you're stirring
Terrifying
the embers.
Thursday. Frightening Friday.
Sit down Saturday.
Go
on, finish it. Sunday. Go on, finish it.
Shitty Sunday. Because you're hungover.
Up in the team, or upstairs, the team are ranting about the following things, Gerry.
For a change.
Lots of anger directed drivers are going to like this one, who pretend to be turning right. So they skip out the queue, get to the top of the junction, and suddenly they're going straight, but they've skipped the queue because they don't queue.
Okay, Lobisons.
Oh, you don't!
This morning I did it right up along East Wall, coming along the point. I was on the right hand lane, got the whole way up to the Eastlink Bridge, and then left indicator, waved at the guy, smiled, and across the Eastlink Bridge, saved myself about 20 minutes.
Okay, I have to ask you a big question.
Throw me on a bonfire.
It's coming. Did you know you were going to do that? Did you do it with intent?
It was.
Come on, talk me through.
I just kind of.
I believe in you. Help me.
I kind of found myself in the right-hand lane, and I just said, "Let's go for it, for God's sake."
Did you?
Yeah. Well, you see,
so
yesterday
you knew as you drove
I had a very
by.
bad experience in the traffic yesterday. Really bad.
So it was revenge.
It took me 2.5 hours to make what should have been basically a sort of 45-minute journey. So this morning I was looking at something similar, a repeat. By the way, somebody fecked around with the traffic lights in Dublin because they seem to be like 2 seconds red, 2 seconds green, 2 hours red. All over the
but don't forget, when I did the report from the Dublin Traffic Centre, remember a couple of weeks ago, they said the longest you should wait at a junction is 2 minutes before you get the green again. Anyway, this does not explain your outrageous behaviour this morning.
Okay, I'm sorry.
You're in the right-hand lane and you went, you know what? Yesterday was crap. I'm going for it.
Yeah, I'm going. It was kind of minor road rage, but I have to
Did you think I am Gerry Ryan and they expected of me?
No.
Did that?
No, because that actually doesn't work.
Because
sometimes when I'm driving into RTE and I have to make the right hand turn to get into RTE off the road outside. Okay, and I do the indicator. And I know from talking to psychologists that if you smile, open your eyes very widely, the people in the oncoming traffic should feel positive towards you.
You look giving and warm and friendly.
Not at all. They see me and they go, Ryan, fuck you! Your crap show! I'm not stopping for you. So I literally have to bulldoze my way usually through
Which makes
traffic.
them hate you even more. So they go, you know what, that fella...
And look at the car he's driving!
It is a good car for the speeding up beside the East Wall.
Yeah, it's the perfect car for that, actually. Anyway, I am now down on my knees.
Okay, that's appalling.
Confirm.
Yes, you are on your knees.
I'm on my knees. I'm looking for forgiveness
you look
from
good
the
down there.
people
I like
of
it.
Ireland for having taken the right-hand lane coming up towards the Eastlink Bridge today.
And thereby upsetting
the nation and doing something that I would normally be found criticising and I'd probably be quite unforgiving about. So please forgive me.
Okay, I'll tell you what, Gerry, they've 10 minutes to text. Y for yes, around for no. Do they forgive you?
Do they forgive me?
Will we give him absolute... I can't believe you did it.
I did.
Because, see, I'm cowardly, but I'm the worst coward. Yeah. I can't do what you did, but I'm so bitter about the people who can.
Yeah.
So I end up in a knot of frustration going...
But do you have a car?
Yes.
Well, that's all right. I thought you were
just end up generally
running along the
Number
side
2, this is my own personal rant.
Go on.
Early morning petrol station coffee. Because obviously in this job, being your wonderful reporter, I spend a lot of time in the morning heading out to wherever. So I'm stuck going to petrol stations for my coffee. It is appalling. They're so scabby with it. It's like water. And then other places it's like muck. The lads put it on last night. They charge lots of money for it. It's dreadful. Now I've worked out the system, right? Where you go up and you pour the black coffee, right? Not the cappuccino, none of that. Don't be getting fancy. I get the shot of espresso. I remove the cup really quickly so the water gushes down. This is actually kind of cheating. Then I put my cup back in and hit coffee again for a second coffee. So I get 2 blasts of coffee.
My God, what genius.
No, but I only pay for 1. How obsessed am I with petrol station coffee?
Pretty obsessed.
4 years it's taken. I've nailed my system. Why?
But you must be careful if you're caught by petrol station attendant, manager of shop, who'll kill you because we've come from Gulag and we're familiar with dealing with people like you.
Yeah, no, that's my number one. And number 3, right? Lisa's one is this. Pedestrians who wander randomly across the road in front of your car when you're trying to make your way through the village. You know, the real... They don't do lights.
Oh, no, hold on.
They don't do lights.
You know,
lights are for losers.
Over the last few days, we've been talking about this ethereal group of characters, the 70 to 24-year-old male, who are apparently the biggest risk on the road in terms of driving. There's also another group of young men who are absolutely immune to everything. Landmines, atomic weapons, and indeed fast travelling vehicles. They will stand out in the middle of the road and they will just look at you going, "Who you?" and the boat you came in on, and try knocking me over. And can I just tell you, you guys out there in the hoodies and the tracksuits standing in front of the cars, one day we will run over you.
But they don't even see the car.
No, they do.
They don't even acknowledge it.
They do. See it out of the corner of the eye, but you know something, I don't have a car, so...
And they just wander by.
Do you want to buy a few tabs while you're stuck on the traffic there?
Do you ever?
No. Text, I'm pissed off at people who regularly don't show up for work and we have to cover for them, says Liam.
That's a good one. You would be a bit bitter about that. The old Monday morning absence.
That's not something that happens here, I have to say.
No, but you know what?
Unless I don't.
Our teams do. I'd be too honest. Yeah, if you don't turn up, it's fine.
And Marty's left going, "Oh, gee, Ryan, I don't know where he is."
Marty's left going, "I have a few discs here in my sock.
Don't know where he is, don't know where he is.
He's coming now, we can see him now, we've got reports of him coming now."
Because you know, that day I was late recently recently when the
washing machine.
central heating blew up, and I'm listening to Marty and going, Marty, just tell them that central heating's blown up. I phoned in. Don't make it sound like I'm a drunk. And I've just gotten up
you're
late.
Upstairs and we're shouting you, hosing you down.
Yeah, quick, give him the pills. Snort that, quick. Throw a bucket of water over him.
Put on one of the pre-recorded programs we did 5 years ago.
By the way, we don't have a pre-recorded program. Let's clear up one or two things. We don't have a pre-recorded program.
Stuff, yeah.
No, there is no pre-recorded program.
Sadly.
We also don't, for those cynics out there, we don't have a 5-second delay. You've got a 5-second delay. By the way, nothing could be done in 5 seconds, right?
You did a kind of a 2FM.
Yeah, so if I said something like, John McMahon is gay and shouldn't be married to Evelyn O'Rourke, which would obviously be libelous, right? A 5-second delay would be no use to edit that out. Sure it wouldn't? No.
No, but I'm thinking conservatory, or would I convert the attic with the money?
Yeah, you'd get about one. No, see, don't forget. See, no, the legal action there would be not based on the fact that he was gay, right?
Could you stop
because
saying it?
That's not. That's
Small's
not.
nerves.
Hold on, you were saying I'm Geraldine.
A caller called you that. I was merely repeating.
You see,
you think that's more insulting than being called gay?
Let's clear that up. It's gay. You see, it's not libelous to call somebody gay. It would be libelous though to insinuate that a married man might be gay. See, there would be your legal action because he would have, misrepresented himself.
False promises.
Yeah, false promises. Yeah, and a strange wardrobe.
I am sitting here going, wibble. Conflict. Yes, no, we certainly don't have a 5-second delay.
No, we don't have a 5-second delay. It's nothing you could do in a 5-second delay. The radio stations that use delays usually use a 3-minute delay. So when, for instance, Evelyn says something like, well, Gerry has been fiddling his RTE expenses and has been dining in the Four Seasons on the taxpayers' back for the last 5 years. You'd need 3 minutes to cut that out of the tape.
But that wouldn't be inaccurate, would it?
What? Okay. Sheila, what really pisses you off?
Hi, Gerry. What really pisses me off is when you pull into a petrol station and the people in front of you are pumping their petrol. When they're finished, instead of moving out of the way so you can get in, they sit there, they go in, they pay for the petrol, they buy a breakfast roll, they get a coffee, they get some groceries, they come out and they give you this stupid look and they sometimes say, oh, are you waiting to get in? And you're like, no shit. That happens every day to me, I swear to God.
Or, maybe what they do as well, what do they do? They sit into the car, out comes the mobile phone.
Yep.
And let's make a phone call.
And
while you're queuing up behind them to get into the petrol station.
Because you can see people looking at each other like, I can't believe it's not moving for you. It happens to everybody. I just don't know why they can't fill the car and then just move up. It's so simple. I don't know. That just sets me off. Actually, I was in a great mood until I started listening to your show today. Now I'm all set off.
Does it make you want to get out of the car and do something to them?
I have politely asked them to kind of, the kids are in the car. I got to go to school. Excuse me. And I just get this look like you're American. Shut up.
Yeah, you and the George Bush, the invasion of Iraq. You've taken over our country. Good morning. Bye. Okay, so that's what annoys a group of our listeners this morning. I'm forgiven by one or two of them for my appalling action in the right-hand lane going up past the point. I just had to do it. I was just still reeling from my 2.5-hour journey, which should have taken 45 minutes yesterday. The traffic yesterday was just simply outrageous. It was outrageous. Now, I know I was in a hurry to get somewhere, right? But even leaving that aside, it was outrageous. I mean, for the first time ever, I'll admit this, for the first time ever, I actually said to myself, what's the point in having a car? Marion, good morning to you.
Good morning, Gerry.
How are you?
Grand, thanks. Grand. A bit of a frog in the throat.
Frog?
A bit of a frog in the throat.
Mm-hmm.
I was on to your researcher there last week, just seeing would anybody else have the same ailment as myself. I have this thing that in the morning my head is very all bunged up, concentration-wise. I work shifts, and in the morning times I just can't seem to coordinate or get anything right, where in the evening times everything runs an awful lot smoother. Sounds weird, but that's just the way it is now.
It's now 10:10. How's your brain at the moment?
Well, you cut me off hops now today, but not very alert, Gerry, in the morning at all. Whatever it is, it seems to, it's like this sensation at the back of my eyes and my head. It's all very sort of sleepy. I mean, I've had a good night's sleep and everything now, but it's just, I just want to close my eyes now again and just sleep.
And go back to sleep.
Yeah, just shut down. I don't know what it is, and it's going on for a long time now. And yet, in the evening time, I mean, I can't put a time, and it's say late afternoon, even. It's just like somebody just turned on this light switch, and all of a sudden everything is real clear. You know, like people's names, and I mean, at one time I could remember every actor that played in different films and soaps and what have you. I can't seem to recall anything like that now. I don't know what the hell it is now.
That's bad, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it is. You know.
Have you been drinking a lot?
I don't drink at all, believe it or not.
Do you not know?
No.
What about drugs?
No, I wish. No.
You don't take drugs?
No.
But you may have to. That's not good. Are you happy?
Yeah, you know, we have our ups and our downs, like everybody else, like,
absolutely,
you know. Yeah. Bit of stress level, of course, where, you know, bills.
Are you very
money
stressed,
now.
are you?
Sometimes I feel more stressed than others. You know, it seems to me that it's too simple of a solution, just to be stressed, just to label it, just to be stressed, you know.
But the more stressed you get, do you find that the old brain gets more foggy?
Possibly so. I don't really know. And I've never really thought to sit down and analyse this, you know. It's just going on for that long now, as you say.
How's your short-term memory? Do you remember things from a long time ago, but not remember things that only happened yesterday?
I think it's a bit of both. You know?
Bit of both? That's not remembering anything then, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just trying to recall things. I have to, like somebody's name. I stood in the street now a while ago, known this girl about 10 years, stood in the street now.
Couldn't remember
her name just wouldn't. No. And the more I tried to think of it, it just wouldn't come. And yes, as the day went on, when I tried to relax then, just bing, and all of a sudden the girl's name came into my head.
And what about when you go to the supermarket? Do you have to have a list, or is it in your head?
Yeah, no, I have to have a list.
Have to have a list.
Yeah. And if I tried a few times...
Do you know directions? If I said to you, Chapel Lizard to Raheny, would you be able to... No. Brutal. Sense of direction, no. There are... Nintendo, for instance, have a new software package that runs on the DS, I think it is. And it trains you. In fact, it was Chris Tarrant who was advertising it recently. It trains your brain to be better, particularly with short-term memory, and to be more alert and to be more astute and to be able to drag up information more efficiently and much more quickly. I actually was quite impressed with it. I was having a go at it there a week or two ago, and it's quite good. You do a little brain exercise sort of every day with it, and these things do actually work. They do work quite well. Some of us are just kind of hardwired in a way that takes us a long time to heat up.
Yeah.
You know, but if you're worrying about it and it's something that you're noticing more than, you know, you did before, well, then I think it is something you should do something about.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you know, I mean, I'm not suggesting this for a minute, I'm not a psychiatrist, but sometimes depression can have this effect.
Yeah.
Sometimes the menopause can have it.
Yeah, but that's why I was wondering, would it be hormonal? Like, that's to say if anybody else had anything out there on the lines, you know?
Yeah, it could be. Callers are actually phoning in and suggesting that it could be the menopause. Because, you know, a formerly astute, erudite, well-informed, sharp woman becomes a gibbering laboratory mouse when the menopause hits her. And this is really frustrating. You know, really, really frustrating, particularly if you were sharp enough beforehand. Mm-hmm. And it does change. You know, you can either battle your way through it or you can take HRT. Or you can try the exercises that I was talking about.
Yeah.
But those things, yes, it could be that. What age are you?
43.
Be a bit early, but it's not beyond the bounds of possibility.
No, it's not, I wouldn't say. No.
It's not beyond the bounds of possibility. You know, you can be tested for that.
I didn't know that, no.
Yeah, you can go along to your GP and they'll figure out reasonably clearly for you, you know, whether or not that's what's happening. Now, I'm not saying that that's it, but it could be it.
Yeah, they could eliminate it.
And also, you know, you have to look, then you were mentioning stress levels earlier on. Yeah. Stress and anxiety sometimes can lead to depression. The thing that we call the blues, which all of us go through, can develop into something more serious. And that can also have a huge impact on your concentration if you're very stressed.
Yeah.
Now, you don't want to be quite stressed. But of course, one woman's stress levels are another woman's laugh.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's something that you have to consider as well.
Yeah.
I do actually think it's worth going along to your GP about.
Yeah. Definitely worth it.
Now, you know what you have to do, though, because sometimes you hit the GP's surgery or rooms and you get the what? What?
Yeah.
Yo, I hear you were on the Gerry Ryan show, you feckin' idiot. Here, to go home and, get your act together.
Yeah.
You need somebody who's actually going to give you a few minutes' time and listen to you and treat what you're saying seriously and treat it as something that is concerning you and that needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
And that may sometimes not be your GP, that may be another doctor. But I do think it's the best for first port of call.
Yeah.
I would do that because this is obviously concerning you enough to make this phone call.
It is.
Isn't it?
It is, definitely.
Okay, so start with your GP and come back and tell us how you get on, will you?
I will.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks a million.
Best of luck.
Thanks, Gerry. Bye now.
Hold on a second. Is there somebody there who wants to talk to her? Who? What's their name? Marie, good morning to you.
Good morning, Gerry. Hi.
Very good.
No,
Okay.
I just came in halfway through what the lady was saying. I thought she was talking about loss of memory and couldn't remember things.
Well, that's exactly what she's talking about, yeah, and concentration levels and
well,
things
I
like
have
that.
I'm 45 now, and since I was 40, I'm going through the menopause, and I'm very, very forgetful. I can't remember anything. Like people say, do you remember the film we were watching yesterday? And I'm sitting and saying, no. And then sometimes I just say for the sake of, oh yeah, I remember, and I can't.
Yeah.
What about people's names?
Yeah.
Directions, locations, the themes of movies. Can you remember? No.
Sometimes.
Now that I presume is a complete turnaround for you. So it must have come as quite a shock.
Yeah. And even the children, like, they'd be saying, Mom, I told you I didn't want this. And I say, no, you didn't. I did. I just cannot remember.
And do you claim that, no, I put it over there?
Yeah.
I definitely put it there. And then one of the children says to you, well, why is it on top of your head then?
I know.
All right, yeah, okay. So,
then I thought it was something to do with Alzheimer's, because my father died of that. And they say, that can carry on in the family. Mm-hmm. It's hereditary too.
So were you checked for that?
No. I've never been that brave to do that.
Okay, well, it does. I don't think it's Alzheimer's now. Have you been checked to see exactly what your hormone levels are? Have you had that checked out by your doctor?
No. I just when I started.
So you're doing the old-fashioned thing. You're living with it.
No, I went when I got it first. I went to the doctor and he told me I was too young, and they sent me for blood tests and he said, "Oh yeah, you're right."
Yeah.
And I just go along with it.
And what about HRT, hormone replacement therapy?
I was afraid to take that.
Why?
No, I just breast cancer and things like that. Wouldn't take it.
Well, the breast cancer risk is pretty low, to be honest. And the trade-off is, has this disrupted your life to such a degree that you are willing to accept a very, very low risk of breast cancer in favour of getting your mind back, basically?
Yeah,
so that's the question I think that most women have to ask themselves. Now, what you've described, while it's a bit of a pain in the arse, it's not the end of the world. Or maybe it is.
Oh, sometimes it feels as if it is.
I mean, do you find yourself in the car going, where am I going?
No, I wouldn't be that bad. It'd be like if I came home and say we're out for the night and someone say, oh, do you remember, what was the man saying to you? And I'd say, I don't know, can't remember. And they'd say, come on, you guys, I can't.
Is this ringing a few bells, Marion?
Yeah, it sounds like me.
Cannot remember anything.
So you could meet me in the pub and I could say, that's an interesting hat. Have you ever watched Crime Scene Investigation? And would you like to lick my banana? Okay? And then later on in the evening, your husband might turn around to you and say, what was your man saying to you? And you go, what man?
No, I'd remember maybe one thing about the hat, and I wouldn't remember anything else. Or I'd remember the banana, and I wouldn't remember anything else.
Yeah, I'm the same.
I wouldn't remember the whole conversation.
Yeah, that's right.
Can you remember this woman's name, Marion?
Marie, is it?
Yeah.
Well done. Well done. There's hope for you. There's hope. That's good. That's good. That's a good start.
Good start.
With your therapy. So you opted, you see, Marion, there is a test, right? Blood tests will reveal this, whether you're going through the menopause or not. And I think it's quite a relief, probably, to discover that it's not something, that it's not something that's...
Is she getting the sweats and things like that?
Yeah, sometimes at night, yeah.
Well, then that's the menopause.
Yeah.
It is, definitely.
But like what you're saying, the doctor was saying I was too young.
Are you walking around the house telling everybody it's very, very, very warm and that they should turn off the central
heating? There's no heating allowed on the house. Too warm.
Yeah. I said last month I was saying you have to wait November. Wait November, we put it on.
Too warm.
Well, that's one of the big giveaways.
Yeah.
If you were a woman listening this morning and you're telling your family that central heating can't be switched on, that's one of the big giveaways. And that's the truth. That's the truth. And it's very, it's all right to be on talking to me, right? I'm not married to you. I'm not one of your sons or something like that either. So, but dare anybody in your immediate, family suggest any of the things that I've said to either of you, and you'd probably have a fit.
Yeah. I actually thought it might be the thyroid, because I went and got the thyroid tested.
No, it should show up on your blood test.
No, it'll show up on your blood test, because there is a dramatic change in your hormone balance,
Yeah.
Would you consider HRT, Marion?
I'm like that, Gerry. I'd be afraid of it now. I'd probably go for homeopathic end of it more so than HRT.
Oh, the horse piss stuff. No,
I've tried everything.
Yeah.
Everything. I'm sitting here now fanning myself. I'm that warm.
HRT, girl, HRT.
That's easy for you to say, Gerry.
I'd take it. I would take it.
Oh, yeah, all right.
Sorry, compared to some of the things I've taken. Look, it really depends. Look, honestly, it really depends on how much it's discommoded your life. And, this could go on until you were 50-something or other. So, that's really the big question. You've got to say to yourself, can I put up with this? Can the people around me put up with it? Is it affecting my job? Is it affecting my relationship? Am I going to be robbed of a decade or 5 years or 6 years or 2 years of my life? They're the questions you have to ask. And if it's very, very substantial, you can't just walk away from HRT. You have to say, okay, what are the issues here? And you got to sit down with an informed practitioner, with a proper person, properly tooled up, with objective and not subjective opinions. Somebody who's going to give you a fair, non-directional, analysis of the situation for you. And I don't know whether either of you have gotten that yet.
No, I haven't anyway.
No, I don't think so. Okay.
No.
Off to the dock with you then. Okay. No. What were your names?
Not that bad.
Good morning.
Thanks a million. Bye. Bye.
Ella, good morning to you.
Good morning.
How are you?
Not so bad.
Now, you are a what?
I'm a biotechnologist.
A biotechnologist.
Yes.
And she can't get a job.
Yeah. It's all a hitting, but no job.
I find that absolutely impossible to believe.
Yeah.
We were speaking with one of the representatives of IBEC the other day, and we were talking about a whole host of new measures they're taking to try and make science more interesting for students, because it's the one thing that we're missing, apparently, according to international investment, is science graduates. And there's you, the biotechnician, can't get a job. Why?
It's just impossible, especially Limerick now. So I have 2 children and I can't go further than Limerick. I went into the web monster.ie and irishjobs.ie yesterday, and I typed in about science and the location, and no matches came up for both of them.
Nothing?
Nothing.
So there's no science in the south?
No.
It's a little bit difficult to believe, isn't it?
Yeah.
And tell me, can you explain what a biotechnician is?
Well, you can branch out to different directions. With the course, it contains like microbiology, genetics.
Yeah.
You can go into the chemistry-based part of it, the pharmacy-based part of it.
And what did you major in?
I started off with, I got my cert in applied biology, and then I went on and I got my diploma in applied bioscience, and then I worked for a year, and I came back and did my degree in biotechnology. I have courses done in health and safety. I have loads of courses done, but still can't get a job.
But I thought all the big investment that was coming in from places like the United States was biotechnology.
No. Where is it? Say that it must
Where is it?
Yeah.
Could you get a job as anything?
Yeah. No, well, what I have at the moment, I'm a lab assistant in a hospital. And basically,
So that means that you're doing bloods and things like that, is it? Sure.
Yeah, but all I'm doing is checking them for their names, but I'm not actually using my degree at all.
So you're just checking the names on the samples?
Yeah, and typing in the details onto the computer. That's what I'm doing.
I don't think you'd need to do the course that you did to be able to do that.
It's a
bit worthless, really, at the end of the day.
And have you checked, when you went on to monster.ie, which is a great website, by the way, have you checked the rest of the country? What are your options like for the rest of the country?
Well, it kind of brought up maybe one in Dublin, and there was like one in Clare.
One in Dublin and one in Clare.
Yeah. I get nothing. See, I can't really go to Dublin anyway because my house and my family is down in Limerick.
Yeah. God, but this gives a complete lie to everything that certainly that I've been saying over the last couple of weeks about the need for science graduates and how this was it was a big dimension of the demands that international business and industry was making on Ireland, was that we needed to have more science graduates. Apart from our 12.5% corporation tax rate, which is the main thing that brings them in, we are pretty average when it comes to science, and that we need to get up there in terms of qualifications and numbers. And here's somebody like you, and you can't get a job. Hold on a second, stay with us for a moment. Nicola, good morning to you. You're as bad.
How are you?
You're as bad.
I am indeed. I have all the qualifications. I was in the States and did my Masters in Forensic Science and did 2 years work experience with the San Diego Police Department in their crime lab.
So you're a CSI woman?
Something like that, Gerry, something like that.
And you couldn't get arrested?
No, I tried, but no, definitely not. So, no, I'm back in the country since Christmas and just cannot get a job. There is nothing out there in forensics in this country. Everything goes to England, like all the casework is sent over to England.
No, don't tell me that. Are you telling me that when the guards get their forensic information, it isn't processed here, that it goes to England?
Not all of it. Some of it certainly does. If you read the papers, a lot of it would be sent over to England in different cases.
Nicola, where have you just put the phone?
Where have I put the phone?
Yeah, it's back.
Back, sorry. But a lot of it is shipped over, and it just is so frustrating when somebody like myself, and there are others out there, that have done their stint in college and, you know, their work experience and everything, and home is home at the end of the day, and you want to come home to work here, and you just can't get a job. And
so here's Ella, the biotechnician, who can't get a job. She can lick the labels on the sample and type in the details. Here's Nicola, the trained forensic scientist, who can't get the job because they send the stuff to England. I suppose both of you could get a job in McDonald's, all right, couldn't you?
Exactly. It's just very frustrating, Gerry, you know, when you do put everything into it, and then, you know, home is home, and that's where you want to be.
Tell me this, were you both a bit shocked, you know, because we talk up the country so much these days, you know, it's the land of golden opportunity, it's the land of milk and honey, the land of plenty, it's the destination of choice for all Lithuanians and Poles, and yet you two can't get a job in your own town.
It is, yeah. It definitely is frustrating, and I mean, especially when you hear people trying to encourage kids to go into different courses and that, and from experience knowing that you've done that and there is nothing out there, that it is very, very hard, and it is frustrating when you see them trying to advertise and pump up different courses, and you know that there is nothing out there, so it's kind of a waste of time to try and get people.
And how long did you study for, Nicola?
I was
trained for.
I was in Maynooth. I did my bachelor's in Maynooth for 4 years, and then I was in San Diego for 2.5 years.
Right, so that's a heck of a long time.
It is
a big investment.
And
Ella, what about you?
Yeah, 4 years as well.
Yeah, that's a big stint too, and a big investment.
And you come out with the money that you want in, with the wages you want.
Well, I can tell you, there's no point in training to be a marine biologist either, is there, Breed?
No, definitely not, Gerry. My husband has a PhD in marine biology. Can't get a job anywhere in the northwest, West Ireland.
Okay, that's not the best line of all time, is it? Anyway, he's a marine biologist, is what Breed was saying, Ella and Nicola, and he can't get a job.
Yeah.
Okay, beggars belief.
It does indeed.
Just beggars belief.
For sure.
And if anybody out there has any answers to this as to why these people can't get a job, considering that we spend most of our time sending and passing on the message that we need more science graduates, when we spend a lot of time listening to investors from international corporations telling us that we're weak in the science areas and we need to build up the infrastructure that supports science in terms of education at all levels, right back as far as Intercert. Please explain to us why these people can't get a job. and exactly when it will change. All right, Nicola Nell, I'm sorry for your trouble.
Thank you.
I'll send you out the forms for the road sweeping, right? Good morning.
Thank you.
It's kind of incredible, isn't it? And especially in a week when we spoke to IBEC, and they were telling us about what sounded to me like a fascinating idea, where they were going to bring over these guys from actual, specialists and experts in the crime scene investigation field, and they were putting together support. There was a number of companies, like people like the chemical company Pfizer, were putting money into this project to basically kind of sex up science and make it more interesting for pupils at secondary school level, because there seems to be a large number of kids taking science at junior cert level, and that drops dramatically from something like 70% down to 13% when they get to leaving cert. And also our rates of achievement at leaving cert aren't particularly high either. So this means that the throughput going into third level or even fourth level training for science and industry is low. We're very, very average in European terms. And this is one of the big demands that we keep hearing from international business and international investment, is that we need to bump up the science end of things. And there you go. They went off. They did their They did their stint. They did their time. They can't get arrested. Now, Roisin, good morning to you. How are you?
You.
Hello, Roisin. How are you?
I'm grand. How are you?
Very good.
Just a quick one. I have a degree in chemistry and with quality management, along with other number of diplomas and what have you. I worked for 6.5 years in a flour mill in Dublin.
Yeah.
When I left 2 years ago, I was being paid 22 grand.
What?
So even if those girls do manage to land a job, expect to be paid peanuts and work like a good thing.
You were paid 22 grand after all that studying?
Yes.
After all those diplomas, after all that basic qualification?
And after working for 6.5 years in the same job.
What exactly were you doing in the flour mill?
Analysing wheat and flours that came in,
Yeah.
passing stuff on. It was the R&D department, which was all the research and the development of new products and what have you.
So sophisticated enough stuff.
Yeah.
But at least you had a job.
Yes. Well, that's just it. I took the job 6.5 years ago after leaving college to have a job. I was one of the few in my class who actually walked out of college and straight into a job. So I took the first thing I got. And then I tried for 3 years to get out of the place and I couldn't. I had one interview for Wyatt and I was asked at 29 years of age, would I mind being retrained at my age?
Retrained as what?
Just being retrained into doing whatever they do. Their new job, whatever new tests and whatever I would have had to do. But at my age, would I mind being retrained? I was 29.
So you now work where?
I'm actually just about to finish a business development program. I'm going to set up my own business, which will be a catteries and a kennel.
A catteries and a kennel, but you did work in Lidl.
Yes, I did work in Lidl.
And you got more money doing what? Supervising people?
No, I wasn't even supervising. I was on more money on the checkouts.
You were on more money on the checkouts in Lidl than you were as a scientist working for the flour mill.
Yes. And the supervisors, after 2 years, were on a hell of a lot better money and they would have done less hours.
Tell me that. Hold on a second. Vanessa, good morning. Thank you, Roisin. You have a chemistry degree. You must be rolling in it. You must have a fascinating job. Hello? Are you there?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, indeed.
Hiya. I have a degree in, the same girl there, in applied chemistry and quality management as well.
Yep.
Now, I have to say it was a very difficult course to do. I mean, my sister did business studies and she
And
seems
it fast-tracked you into a fascinating, well-paid job?
No, not at all. Well, I got a job now within a couple of months and I'm working in research and development. But you could basically, a trained monkey could do the job.
Really?
Yeah, it's excruciatingly boring. You're in the lab with, I know some jobs can be boring now, but this is very, very boring.
What are you doing?
Basically, there's machines that we're basically washing down. It's like a glorified cleaner, to be honest. And we do tests on the thing, but we're testing inhalers and that. But it's just, you don't really get any kick out of it at all. If you make a mistake on any of the literature that you're doing, you have to sign and date it. And if you make a mistake on that, you have to sign and date that again. And it's just very, very boring. I don't really know anyone who's really happy in their job.
And how long did you study for that?
4 years.
What a waste of time.
2FM.
Question, are you planning on taking a flight abroad soon? If so, listen up. This includes anywhere, not just the United States. Tough new restrictions on hand luggage will be coming into effect as from next Monday. And if you're one of those travellers who never boards a flight without a litre of water, as well as a mountain of makeup, moisturisers et al., then the time has come to put your vanity aside. Toiletries like hair gels, mascara, lip gloss are now banned, except in very small amounts. It's all part of a new EU aviation security measure to counteract global terrorism. But will it simply lead to delays? You better believe it, because I've first-hand experience of it since last weekend. Queues and general chaos. Siobhan Moore of the Dublin Airport Authority is on the line. Siobhan, good morning to you.
Good morning, Gerry.
Well, I've first-hand experience of it in the land where they've plenty of experience of it. I was in Chicago O'Hare Airport, where they'd gone to Code Orange last, when was it? It was last Wednesday. And it was absolute chaos with all the little jiffy bags. The queue went right outside the airport.
Well, that's what we're hoping to avoid on Monday morning, Gerry, and we'll be doing all that we can within our power to avoid that.
Well, if they couldn't avoid it in Chicago O'Hare, where they've ample experience of orange, blue, green, yellow, gold, you name it, how will we manage to do it in Dublin?
Well, we've a lot of plans in place. I mean, first and foremost is the education campaign that's underway at the moment to notify people of what's happening. Information on our website. We're strongly recommending passengers to familiarise themselves in advance. Go to the dublinairport.com website. We have a free phone number, 1-800-250-180. Information on that. It's in all the newspapers today. We're handing out leaflets in the terminal building. We'll have additional customer service agents in the terminal building. We will have special areas set aside before the passenger security screening point to prepare passengers for the new change. We will have the transparent resealable bags in place at the airport for a limited time. But just to go through the measures, if I may, Gerry, from Monday morning...
Why not just ban it completely? That's the only thing that's really going to work.
Well, it's an EU regulation and it's sent down from the EU Commission, and we must enforce what the EU...
Oh no, you're absolutely correct. You've no option but to do this. But I think the reality of it is, and I've witnessed a lot of this over the last couple of months in the United States because I've travelled extensively, and it's absolutely chaotic. Chaotic.
It probably would be simpler if everything was banned, but
Yeah.
that's not
No
the case.
hand
So
luggage.
We have to live. Well, it will have a significant impact for passengers travelling with the carry-on or hand luggage in particular, because from Monday no longer will containers or liquids in containers of 100 mils or over be permitted to the passenger security.
Give us an idea of what that would be. What would it be?
A litre of water, pure and simply, I suppose, if you're thinking about that. Now, most aerosol cans and shaving foam cans and deodorants are in containers of 150 mils. It's amazing how knowledgeable you become on items when you're researching for this. So a typical aerosol can will be in the region of 150 mils. No longer will you be allowed to carry that through the passenger security screening point. So we're urging passengers who have checked in luggage just to put all your containers above 100 mils into your checked in luggage. Now, of course, the difficulty will be if passengers have hand luggage. People are going away for weekend breaks, mini breaks. They just want the ease of going through the airport with hand luggage and just to walk straight through on the other side. People are going on day trips, and of course we have football matches coming up regularly who people fly off, fans fly out to on overnighters or whatever, who would just have hand luggage. So the rule that will apply from Monday onwards will be only containers of 100 mils or less of liquids, gels, pastes, lotions, cosmetic, contact lens solution, of course, is another one, will be brought through will be allowed through. They have the containers, and several of them can fit into the transparent plastic bag, which measures about 20 centimetres by 20 centimetres. So what you're talking about is a freezer bag, a sandwich bag that's obtainable at most local supermarkets. They normally come in about three sizes, small, medium and large, but the small ones would be the ones that would be most appropriate size. So you put your items, your containers that are 100 mils or under into the transparent bag, and you present that separately at the passenger security screening point. Now, there is another, if I could just give advice as well, because the majority of ladies will be affected, because I don't know any lady who doesn't have cosmetics in their handbag of some description or a cosmetic bag, myself included. So the advice we're saying to the ladies is just quite simply put all your cosmetics into the transparent resealable bag, provided they're in containers of 100 mils and under. And that would be the simplest thing. Now, one bag is only permitted per person, so you have to make sure that they fit in comfortably as well, that you're not trying to squash as much as you can in either.
But what this means, so can you imagine what this means? My heart goes out to the security people, because can you imagine, going, is that 100 mils?
Yeah.
Is 110 mils?
No, I also must make the point, Gerry, that it's the container. It doesn't apply. You can't go up and say, well, I've drank half the bottle of this litre of water, so there's only about 100 mils left. Can I bring that through? It's the container itself as well. You know what I mean? The container being over 100 mils is not permitted. So that's an important point also.
So can we look forward then to what I've seen? I'm sorry to keep hawking back to my own experience, but it's the only experience I've got. Huge vats of cosmetics and half-drunk water bottles and Coke bottles.
Well, I mean, we want to avoid that at all.
Well, that's what I've seen in at least 5 airports in the United States over the last couple of months.
Yeah, and there will be 3 options available to passengers.
Yeah, let's hear them.
One is to return to check-in with the item, and you can check the item in. 2 is if you happen to have somebody travelling to the airport to see you off. Now, I know that's quite seldom, but you might have somebody who's seeing you off, and you could go back out and give it to them. The other option, I'm afraid, is in order to continue on your journey, you will have to surrender the item. Now, we don't want to have to do that.
And you don't get it back. They don't keep it for you, folks.
No, it will be destroyed.
It's not like, Mrs. Ryan, here, would you like your lippy back?
No,
on the way home.
We can't do that. We just wouldn't be able to do it. And that's why it's so important for people to familiarise themselves. I can't stress how important this is. Now, of course, there are 2 exceptions, and I'd like to mention those if I could. Baby food required during the flight, and essential medicines needed during the flight. If they are over 100 mils, they will be permitted, although passengers may be required to taste the baby food.
So you may be required to take a swig of the bottle.
You might be.
Just to make sure it's not gelignite.
Just as it's genuine.
God, what a world we live in now. Hold on a second, Siobhan. By the way, I've heard you, and I compliment you on not losing your temper in the several interviews that I've heard over the last day or so, because you're only the messenger. Maura, good morning to you.
Hiya, Gerry. How are you?
Very good. You have a question for Siobhan.
I have. I want to find out, are they going to increase the weight restrictions that we're allowed put through our cases if we have to put all these items now through?
Yeah, and
like the likes of Ryanair, and that they're charged for over excess baggage.
Yeah, with Ryanair, you'd probably be charged €20 for bringing extra lippy with you. Siobhan...
That's a very good point, actually, but you really need to take that up with the airline, because that's the Dublin Airport Authority doesn't have any responsibility for baggage loading or anything, or taking the bags.
But I think without fear of correction, we can say no, they will not be changing the weight restrictions.
I have to say that the airlines have come on board and support, and we've also called on support of the various travel and tourism agencies. The airlines are going to make an announcement on board.
It's okay going into, say, the likes of the chemist and buying, the small little travel bottles, like what you see in the hotels. Yes. I don't mind filling up them for a weekend trip or whatever. Yeah. But when you're going away to the sun for 2 weeks and you're bringing your sun creams, and you usually put them in a cool bag or something and take them on board, I mean, that's nearly the weight of a small suitcase.
Sure, they are quite heavy.
Can you imagine how much it would cost to put that through as excess bags?
Well, I think that's what you'll have to be doing. It also means, for instance, in the pharmacy in Dublin Airport, or in any of the other airports throughout the country, half the things they sell, unless you're thinking of consuming them in the lounge before you go through security, you won't be able to bring them on board.
Well, Gerry, actually, just to make that point, that you won't be permitted to bring your item above 100 millilitres to the passenger security screening point. But once you get beyond the passenger security screening point, you can purchase items of any quantity and size beyond.
But let's hope the likes of Boots or something open up in there, because otherwise, I don't think they do 3 for 2 on your sun cream or something.
That's a good question, Siobhan. Will there? Do you know if there's any plans to have a pharmacy inside the?
Well, there actually is a pharmacy beyond the passenger security screening point at the moment. Yes, there is.
Where's that?
Yeah, it's on what we call the street, the shopping street.
Yeah.
It's down by it's opposite for the travel value area, down towards, as you're heading down towards the Pier A area. So, and I mean, we're always looking at opportunities.
Well, I hope now they start stocking up on their 3-for-2s, all the toiletries that we use going away.
And Siobhan, I presume the duty-free, the Izzy Miyake's and the Chanel No. 5 and all that, you can still bring that on board?
Yes, well, what will happen now is when you're purchasing alcohol or perfume products or any liquid products, they will be put into a tamper-evident bag.
Yep.
And you can bring that on board the aircraft then.
And will it be an American-style operation where you'll collect them at the gantry going onto the plane?
No, you will actually be given it. Okay. You can take it with you at the point of sale.
All right, Maura, thank you. Another question from Patrick. Patrick, good morning to you.
Good morning, Gerry.
What does your girlfriend usually do?
Well, no, she'd buy certain cosmetics, like a large container, and she'd put them into a smaller, would it be an unmarked bottle or so, to take away rather than carry the larger one, on the flight?
All right, that's a good question, Siobhan. Even if it is 100 ml or less, if it's unmarked, is that acceptable?
It must show on the bottle that the bottle is a container of 100 mils.
But if it doesn't say contains Lippy or whatever on it,
no, that's
okay.
Yeah, provided that that the container is no more than 100 mils.
So it's basically just a quantity thing rather than product.
Yeah.
That's what do they presume?
Well, I mean, obviously flammables are not permitted on board. That would be standard.
Oh, you're joking. You can't bring petrol on.
No.
Damn. I was looking forward to that. So there's some. If you can give us some background to this, do they technically presume that you can't make a bomb with anything under 100 mils?
Well, I mean, the thinking behind it is obviously as a result of what happened in the UK on the 10th of August last, and my understanding is that it's the quantities of liquids which could potentially contribute to the making of a bomb and threaten their safety.
And is this forever and ever and ever?
That's our understanding. Yes, this is indefinite.
This is indefinite.
This is our life. I mean, we've adapted to no smoking in the pubs. We've adapted to paying 15 cent for our plastic bags. There will be teething problems in the initial days. There's no doubt about it as passengers become familiar with it. But that's, again, just urging passengers, get onto our website, get onto the free phone number and check out what they are.
To be perfectly honest, the simple way that the Ryans dealt with it was just to put everything into your suitcase.
That's absolutely the best way.
That's the best way to do it,
absolutely.
And try and accept that you're not on the catwalk when you're in the plane. You're actually going on holidays or on business. And
this has been introduced for safety and safety of passengers and for air safety, and it's in everybody's interest to comply. So that getting through...
I have to say, I kind of have my doubts as to whether it actually has any impact on safety or not, but it's the law and we have to deal with it. And no amount, and the Irish have a tremendous propensity for thinking that they can arrive at immigration or security or any other point of entry and have a big row and, make their constitutional rights known. That's not going to work. If you have the stuff over 100 mils, they'll take it from you and it'll be dumped.
And we will have preparation areas within the security queuing line so that we can, we will get the passengers before they get to the passenger security screening area to prepare them, and so in order to minimise any potential delays that might occur.
Now, what about, you go, well, feck that, I'll just put it in my overcoat.
Yeah, well, I mean, your overcoat has to come off and go to the passenger or through the X-ray machine, so it'll be detected then.
Top of the class, Siobhan Moore. You have it covered. Yeah. Okay, good morning to you.
Good morning, Gerry. Thank you very much.
Take care. Okay. The man standing beside me here in Studio 8 this morning has been performing since 1975. In that time, he has collected over 200 gold and platinum albums. That's a lot. And starred in more than 3,000 live shows. An incredible, by our calculation, one show every 3.5 days. Over the years, even royalty and world leaders have joined the ranks of his fans, among them the late Princess Diana of Wales, Boris Yeltsin, clinically psychotic, but nonetheless a Christa Berg fan, and the former German Chancellor Helmut Kohl, allegedly deaf, but also a Christa Berg fan. His latest album, which was released last month, is called The Story Man, and that's, I suppose, what you've been since day one. Christa Berg, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Gerry.
Boris Yeltsin.
Yes.
A very musical Russian, though. I mean, remember he had an enormous compulsion. I mean, obviously, I think he shared another passion of yours, of course, drinking. He drank a lot and didn't seem to worry too much about it on public occasions.
He stayed on airplanes quite a bit, didn't he? Yeah.
And also then grabbing the batons of military band conductors and going while pinching somebody's bottom and jumping up and down. And we miss Boris Yeltsin.
Well, yeah, he's a nice fella. I was in Moscow one time doing a series of shows in the Kremlin, and
good gig.
The theatre manager came in white as a sheet one evening. He said, "Oh no," he said, "Mr. Yeltsin's on the phone." He says, "My daughter, big fans. I want something from you, please. I have to sign something, please." The guy was shaking. I said, "What do you want?" He said, "Oh, records, programs, something, please. Boris Yeltsin's on." Boris had called him and said, "Send me some stuff. My daughters like this guy."
Yes, me autographs. I'll go to Gulag. Welcome, by the way, to the humble surroundings of Studio 8. It's not, a Maharaja's palace, but the sound is good. We're always very proud of that. And you're not the last or the first in a long line of people who have sat on that shabby stool on that very dirty brown carpet. Such beautiful sound and music can be created in here. You'd be mind-boggled at the surroundings. Now, we're going to get you to play something that's not on the album. Will you be playing live in Dublin with this new show?
Well, I hope so. At the moment, it kicks off in the NEC Birmingham on the 18th of November, and then we go into Europe almost up to Christmas, and then we're kind of making our plans for the new year. And I sense that it is time to come back and sing here again.
Oh, I sense it is too, yeah. I mean, all the bumps and the slides and the twists and the turns that your life has taken, I think now you're back at a moment when music is the most important thing, maybe as far as the public's concerned, and that's the way it should be. And I think that's good. And it takes a long time to sort of get there sometimes, and to get people to understand that that's really what you want to be doing.
Well, that's always what I have been doing.
Yeah.
And I may have just slipped away, but at least I have an extremely vibrant international career to pursue, and I have been for years. So, there's a big wide world out there, but I adore living in this country, and
but everybody likes to come back home. They like. Bono said that there's nothing like the applause of your hometown.
He's right.
He said it's the hardest applause to get.
Yeah, he's right.
He's right. Okay, what are you going to play us out on?
Well, we've just passed the scary time of Halloween.
It still works. Christopher, good morning.
Thanks.